Hi everyone. In today's video we're going to continue from the part 2 series, which we looked at how to create a policy in FortiWeb. If you remember, in the part 2 series I told you that a website can be accessed both using the private IP address, which is the LAN IP, internally, or using the public IP address externally, and that is with the aid of the what's it called, the virtual IP we created on the FortiGate and also on the FortiWeb. If you remember, this virtual IP here 54, which is the internal one, matches here, and then we now map it to an external IP. So I'm going to open that. Basically, this is my external IP, and then this is my internal IP. So this IP here doesn't really exist. It's basically a virtual IP, but it is in my subnet, and the real server IP address is 192.168.177.2. That you can basically find that under the server pool, where we basically assign the real IP address to the server itself, which is basically this, and that's why you can see I can access it using the private IP, and I can access it using the public IP. One of the things that I did make mention of in my last video was that we're going to look at DNS, how to actually resolve the name, as in this IP into name. One of the things I can do, let me show you this, is that I've created a DNS A record. I'm actually show you as this video progress how to create an A record. Created an A record, and one of the things I did with my A record is basically to resolve the name playground. Now the domain I'm using for this training is training.techy. Now notice that it's resolving to the public IP now, which is 67.249, which is basically this IP here. So it means if I come to my browser and I type in the URL playground.training.techy, it basically will open that particular page. Now that is basically the work of DNS. The reason why you could see the name resolving is basically because pointing this to my DNS server. Let me show you that. Now notice that it's basically resolving from this DNS server here, and this DNS server is actually what resolves the name and gives me the IP address, and basically that's how I can actually open the page. Now in this video, in today's video, what I want to show you is how to host an HTTPS web page. Now the last video, basically in the part 2 series, what we did was to host an HTTP website, and notice the port number that we use is basically port 80. So this time we're going to use a port 443. Let me see if I can see more policy. I can show you that that's basically port 80. Now we're going to use, notice the protocol here is basically HTTP. So we're going to use a port 443. So we're going to create a new server, a new web page. We could use the same web page that we're currently using, which is Playgroup, and just upgrade it to HTTPS. Now, before I do that, I need to show you this. If I type in HTTPS, let me go back to HTTP here, and then change this to HTTPS. Now, and then I will try to open this. Notice it's not. Oh, sorry, pardon me. HTTPS. Notice it's not opening. Let's copy that name again. But here HTTPS, there's a mistake here, sorry, colon. Now either way is not opening. So now one thing you see is if I then change this to HTTP, notice that works. So because my IIS is simply having only HTTP. Now when you create an HTTPS, you're basically going to need a server certificate. So what I want to show you in this video is how to go through all those steps. I'm going to open my IIS server. This is my IIS server, and as you can see, when I expand the server name and the site, what you see here is basically the default page. Now this is the default page, this is the default site. What I can do is I can change basically this port, but I need to show you that this is basically the page I'm actually working on. Now one way to do that is to update what is called the default documents. The default document basically it's mostly using the index page, the index.html. Now or it's using the IIS start page, whichever one is actually set as the default page. Now what we'll do is to make some changes just to be sure that we are actually working on the right server. Is let's say I go into the web directory, the root directory of the web file. So basically the default page is IIS start, and let me edit this briefly using Notepad. I'm going to add two things. I'm going to change this name from IIS server to playground. Web app, and then I'm going to actually change the background color from this blue, let's say, I don't know what color that is, but 999 is also a color code number. Now I save that by just saying Ctrl S, and then if I refresh this page, and let's see, I just want to be sure that is the page I just edited. Give me a moment. So I actually noticed that I had the wrong server open. This is my server 5. I was supposed to open server 6. So I'm just going to switch over to server 6. Okay, this is my server 6. So what I'm going to do is still go through my web folder, init pub www directory. This time around, I'm just going to make these changes by opening a notepad here. We'll just copy this information that I have here over here, just to make sure that I'll just change the name back to default. Let me see if I can do Ctrl Z. Yeah, I can for that one. Let me just change this to IIS web server, leave that on server 5 as the default so I don't mess up with that. Now before I close server 5, I'm going to go to server 6 and I'm going to make a different change. I'm just going to call the title playground. Now the background color, let's try 333 and then save. Now once you save this, one thing is that if you browse the page, notice the name has changed to playground, the background has changed to black. That's why I'm using computer back to the page I was. So now if you refresh this, now you have the playground. If you refresh the public IP one, you have the same thing. If you refresh the one with the name, which would basically resolve, notice the same thing. The same thing here as well. So basically the name just repeating itself. Now let's say I want to change this picture here. I just wanted to just make sure that you know we're basically on the right server. I said it's server 6, not server 5, like I made a mistake. Basically, it should just close up my server 5 so as to avoid any kind of confusion. The name number was of course probably just making a mistake opening that. So now server 6 is actually what I want to do. So I'm changing the background picture, which is basically this image here called the is.start.png, which basically you can find here in the root directory. Now I'm going to download a picture. Let's look for let's just look for that. Just gonna get something. Okay, let's look for something more funky. Okay, great. Let's pick this. For now, open this image in new tab, and then we'll save this image. And just save it as odd. This file type, I haven't seen this file type before. AVIF file, that's fine. I hope it works with the web page. If it doesn't, I probably might need a JPEG file or a PNG file. So I'm saving this, and then I'll go to where it is stored. It's basically my download folder. This is here. Let me see if I can just change it to PNG. Open it with Paint. That's the easiest way. If it can open it, it can't. Let me look for something. Let me see. Or I could just do this. AVIF to PNG. I could use JPEG to PNG, doesn't matter. Select the file. It's in my download folder, and then I'm converting basically to PNG. I'm not doing anything too serious. So once the download, once the conversion is done, I then would download it. And now it's actually a PNG file. So basically I do have both files. One is a PNG and one is AVIF file. So this is the PNG file. I'm just going to copy this into that web directory folder. I'm still going to leave the old picture there, which is this one. I'm just going to put this here. Normally you should remove the old picture, but I just want to show you I can switch between the two of them. Now minimize this page, then change this name from rs to odd.png. Save the file, and then how would we know that is the file we just did? If you refresh the page, notice that. So now we're basically not doing web training. I just wanted to show you that I'm on the right server. Now what I want to do next is to then set up HTTPS on that web server. That's actually why we're going through all this pain. Now to do that, you would need to make sure you have a certificate, because you're definitely going to need a certificate to have that. To create a certificate, you're going to come to your server itself. We'll click on certificate here, open feature, and then you're going to create a self-signed certificate. We're going to call this playground certificate. We'll create it next, and basically we do have the certificate. So this certificate here, you can basically download it. so that you can actually import it into your FortiGates and as well as a FortiWeb. We're going to need it. So it's a PFX file. I'm going to save it, create a password for it, and then click OK. Great. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to I could create a new site, or I could just edit this particular default one. I'm going to go to binding, then change this binding here from HTTP. So I can change that. I can just add HTTPS. Now you could basically what's it called, assign it to a specific IP address, or for now we'll just leave it this way. And this is where the certificate comes in. So this is where you apply the certificate that was created. So we could basically view it. Now you can put the host name here. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as the default. The only thing we're just creating here, we're creating HTTPS and creating using the certificate and clicking OK. That's all we're doing. We're not making any more changes than that. Now with this, I should be able to browse the page in both the HTTPS format. Let me set as a default browser. This is funny. I can't see. I'm looking for that particular option to check. Let me see if I refresh. It's still not. Now let me try this way. Instead of using localhost, how about I just try HTTPS followed by the IP address? Okay, great. That won't work. So which means if I go back to my browser here and I try HTTPS with that name that we used earlier, playground.training techy. Let's see that again. Now notice that this did not open. How about we try this way? HTTPS (177.2). Now click advance, click proceed. Notice that it's now opening as HTTPS file, and it's basically using the certificate we put in. Now notice this did not open. The reason why this did not open is because, number one, in my FortiGates, when I was creating the policy the last time, the policy for that training, not this one, where is it? Not easy to find it with this list of policies. I'm going to just switch over to by sequence. I'm looking for something that has a FortiWeb. There it is. Somehow, I don't know how come I couldn't view this with the previous in the previous view, but I know it's there. Let me see the interface it's using. That's why. Okay, it's basically using Wi-Fi to training. That's why I couldn't find it. So let me switch back. I'm looking for Wi-Fi to training. Yep, this one. That's where it is. So basically, that's where the policy was hiding. So it's just me. I just couldn't find it. Now, one thing you need to note is, number one, HTTPS needs to be enabled here, which it is, which is good. Normally, I should just have enabled only HTTP, but I enable both HTTP and HTTPS, which is fine. So now, in this case here, on the FortiGate side, that is good. On the FortiWeb side, however, the web page is basically using HTTP. I'm going to show you that briefly. Now, two places to check that. Number one is server policy. The server policy that we're using, notice the protocol is basically HTTP for playgroup. I'm going to show you again here. Notice HTTP service, HTTPS service is not turned on. Also, in the server objects, on the server pool, you will notice that this basically is using HTTP on port 80. So what we can do is we can turn on HTTPS and then add HTTPS server and leave the HTTP as well, or we could just change this to HTTPS 443. So that's one, as in that's way you could do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a new server policy. I don't want to create a new server policy. I still want to edit that policy. Let me just edit this particular one. Now, instead of it to be port 80, I'm just going to change it to port 443. That's just way better. 443. Now, turn on SSL here in the client certificate. Just do not put anything yet. Then click OK. Now notice this port has changed to HTTPS port, which is 443, and we've enabled SSL, which is very important. Now we then go over to policy here, and then in policy we'll turn on HTTPS. Now what most people would do would just be to remove HTTP. For me, I'm just going to leave both of them. Now, certificate, this is where that certificate comes in, the one we downloaded. So I'm going to click create. I'm going to upload the certificate. I do believe the certificate is actually a PK12. I don't know. I do know I have it downloaded somewhere. I do believe it was on my server. Let's see, where's the server again? Yeah, there it is. It was downloaded here. Download. This is the certificate here. So I do need this certificate accessible on this server here. Let me see if I can just paste it here. I don't have the paste option. Let me do it this way. I'm going to just access that server. Using the IP address. I'm going to download folder. And there we go. That is the file. And basically now copy it and dump it in my own download folder. So that's basically because I have the server accessible. So now there is a file. Add it. Put the password that you input the last time you were creating the certificates, and voila! So you have this certificate working. What we can also do is you can basically force HTTP traffic to redirect automatically to HTTPS. But for now, we're just going to leave that one as default. The only thing we just changing here is adding HTTPS and then clicking OK. Nothing changed. Every other thing remains the same from what we did in the previous video. I said this is a series video, so it basically means you need to watch part 1, part 2, part 3 to follow this whole thing, because it's basically a continuation. As you recall, when we tried to open this page using HTTPS and the IP address on the local server, we could. Notice that HTTPS. Now when we try to open it using the public IP address, we couldn't, but now did I put in the IP address? Now yes, we can. And then also when we try to open it using this is HTTP, using the name HTTPS play group or playground. I don't know why I keep saying group. spell this, HTTPS. Great. Advanced. Notice it's basically working. Now that is simply because I did turn on the HTTPS. So now I basically can access the server now on HTTPS. Now I told you this is very important. Having this HTTPS option here is very important. Like let's say I turn that off and then I try to access it. Let me open an incognito page. Notice that the website is still HTTPS, but I can no longer access it. That's because your FortiGate plays a key role in making this accessible. If I try to open it using HTTP, notice I can access it. But if I try to open it using HTTPS, notice I cannot access it. The reason I'm using incognito is because I don't want the cache of the previous page to actually move over to this page. So basically, so now what you see is I could not access it now. I'm going to just switch over back to my FortiGate and then turn on back HTTPS. Go back to my incognito page. Yep, I don't even need to do much. It basically already opened. So as you can see, let me close the incognito page fully, open a new incognito page, and then put the HTTPS link. There you go. Try the HTTP. There you go. Now I'm going to just go back to my FortiGate and do one more thing. Remove the HTTP. Now notice the HTTP is gone here. It's only HTTPS we have here, but on FortiWeb we have both HTTP and HTTPS. Now watch this. Close my incognito browser, open a new incognito page. HTTPS working. HTTP. Not working. Now that is not working because the traffic is going through the FortiGate first, and FortiGate is then going to say you're coming in using HTTP. This particular protocol is only allowing HTTPS. You get that now? It's only allowing HTTPS. So I'm not going to allow you to go through. Now, one thing I haven't really tried in the production environment is using this option here, which basically redirects all HTTP traffic to HTTPS. So this particular one, I do believe that you have to have both of them, but it basically will just, you have to have HTTP and HTTPS on FortiGates. But we could try it. I've never tried it before, but I've always wanted to try it. So this says redirect all HTTP requests to HTTPS requests will not be blocked on HTTPS requests, but it will be subjected to blocking once the redirected or HTTP is received. Okay, blah blah blah. Now click this and then go back there to the browser. I'm not expecting this to work except I have that HTTP turned on, but what I'm trying to see here is when this is turned on there, it's basically still not working because the traffic comes through the FortiGate first. Now on the FortiGate, this is where I'm going. We use the HTTP. Now one thing you need to note before I go too far is that when I'm using HTTPS, you will see the kind of certificate thing. When I'm using HTTP, let me see, do I have any HTTP? No, I do not have any HTTP open. Yeah, let me try locally. Yeah, when I'm using HTTP, you basically see not secure, but when you see in HTTPS, notice the color is different. Okay, so now let me go back to my FortiGate briefly and then add the HTTP traffic. So this basically forces HTTP traffic into HTTPS. So now I'm going to go back to Okay, close this, open a new incognito page. This is the HTTPS traffic. I still have that. How about the HTTP traffic? Notice what happened here. I type in HTTP and then it automatically basically forces it to HTTPS. Let's go disable that. I'm going to close this. Let's go back to the FortiWeb and then disable that option that forces the redirection and then test it again. Incognito. This is HTTPS, notice. Then I'm going to try with HTTP. Notice that this is not red and is then forced me to HTTPS. So basically, yep, that option is working. Basically, what that option does is whether you turn on HTTP and HTTPS on FortiGate and FortiWeb, it doesn't matter if you want to still force every traffic to go to your 443 page, which is HTTPS. What you basically need to do is basically that. So you just redirect all HTTP traffic into HTTPS. So once you do this, and then we go back to the incognito page, and then I even refresh this. Yeah, that's why I don't like just because most of them when they're cached, they're cached. Let me try it before closing it. Yeah, let me close it out because it's very important sometimes to make sure that the page is not basically caching the traffic. Let's try that again. HTTP. Notice that it's redirecting back to HTTPS. A part 4 of this series, and we're going to look at using the different port number. Also, we're going to look at other features of FortiWeb as well. Please like my video and subscribe. Thank you so much.